Okay, let me, good,
Yep.
because every time you move,
I don't know. Can you hear this chair squeaking?
big.
I don't know. Going big. Squeaky
It was
chair,
going big.
Go big, squeaky chair. Why are you shaking your head now? So disappointed in you. Anyway, you're joking because I'm still Alright, we're back and we've changed chairs, so my chair doesn't squeak a bunch now. It's been a while since we've made one of these videos. I guess we haven't had anything very inspirational or thought-provoking to say for a while. But recently I did, and it was something I want to share, sort of something that I've been mulling over, something that I feel like maybe has kept me away or distracted us from wanting to do these. And I was listening to our podcast, which if you haven't listened to our podcast, we did like 2 episodes not 2 years ago, maybe a year ago.
Probably.
But go back and listen to them because I listened to them today, as a matter of fact, and they do a good job of explaining kind of our heart behind what we're doing. So,
Yeah.
but one of the things you said in that is that you wanted to share, part of what we wanted to do through Firehouse Mission was to share the beauty and the struggle of following Jesus.
Yeah.
Recently I've had something that was a real struggle for me that I wanted to just share because it revealed to me, it made something that I knew about God real in my life. It's sort of like you know that getting a tattoo hurts, but you don't really know that a tattoo hurts until you get a tattoo and
Right.
you know exactly what that means. So one of the things that I knew about God is that like He was gracious and He loved me no matter what. But I felt like I didn't experience that much till, not much, but to this extent until recently. So I just wanted to share that with you. This video will probably be a few minutes longer than they usually are, but stick with me because it's really important that we share this. So a couple weeks ago probably, in my life, I've had one kind of very important goal to me. And that goal has been, as a dad, to never be like loud or aggressive or whatever in my relationship with my wife in a manner that affected my kids. And had maybe got close to that at times, but a couple weeks ago we were having a disagreement and I was acting like a fool, and our 16-year-old son came downstairs and just kind of wrecked my world. And he's a real introverted kid. He's very like non-confrontational, so I know it took him a lot of courage to come down and talk to me about it. He's like, Dad, you just gotta calm down. I want you to stop. And in that moment, I felt like I had failed at the one thing that was very, very important to me in my life. And I don't know if that's accurate description of it, but it was very important to me. It was one of my biggest priorities in life, and in that time I felt so unworthy of love really from anybody, but specifically from God. Like I felt like I had let my wife, my son, myself, and God all down in the same time. But it kind of humbled me like I've never been humbled before. And I know a lot of like religious life turns into feeling like you're supposed to follow a bunch of rules.
Right.
And stop me at any time you have anything to interject, by the way. Feels like it's a bunch of rules that you're supposed to follow, and I felt like at that moment that I had failed at all of those things that Jesus told me to do, and I just felt unworthy. And sometime in that time when I was struggling with that, I remembered this little passage of scripture that I just want to share with you. It's in Luke chapter 18. It starts in verse 9, and it's Jesus telling a parable. Is kind of like telling a story to explain something. It's one of those things where you tell a story and then you go, the moral of the story is,
right.
That's what he's doing. So Luke chapter 18 verse 9 says, To some who were confident of their own righteousness and looked down on everyone else, Jesus told this parable. 2 men went up to the temple to pray. One, a Pharisee, who the Pharisees are like the religious scholars who followed all the rules to a T and kind of lumped all of those burdens onto everybody else. It says, 2 men went up to the temple to pray, one a Pharisee and the other a tax collector. The tax collectors were despised by everybody because they were Jewish people who were working for the Romans who were oppressing them. And so they were kind of like traitors, but on top of that, they collected taxes for the Romans, and they'd always collect a little extra to stuff in their own pockets, so they just were very disliked.
Yeah.
So we've got a super religious guy who follows all the rules and an outcast of society, pretty much. It says, the Pharisee stood by himself and prayed, God, thank you that I am not like other people, robbers, evildoers, adulterers, and even like this tax collector, he says. I fast twice a week and I give 1/10 of all that I get. And then it says this, but the tax collector stood at a distance. He would not even look up to heaven, but beat his breast and said, God, have mercy on me, a sinner. Jesus said, I tell you that this man, rather than the other, went home justified before God. For all of those who exalt themselves will be humbled, and those who humble themselves will be exalted. And just to think, like in that moment where I felt so far from God, I was right where God needed me to be, understanding my utter dependence on Him, and that hadn't affected the way that He loves me. And not only that, but it made me, probably at some point, I have felt proud that I did good Christian things, and even though I knew it wasn't what Scripture said, probably thought that God was pleased with me and had favor on me because of those things that I did.
Right.
But in that moment, I felt like I had done nothing to earn His love. And then I hear this about God, and it says, like, when you realize your own unworthiness is when you're closest to God, because He says, like, you've realized your dependence on me. And I don't know, do you have anything that you want to share?
Not yet, keep going.
I don't know if you've ever been forgiven in a situation where you knew you did not deserve to be forgiven. And when that happens, there's really nothing you won't do for that person. Once somebody has gone, you don't deserve my forgiveness, but I'm gonna give it to you anyway. Like, that does something in your heart that goes, oh my goodness, this is a person, one, that I want to be like, but two, nothing will stop me from doing whatever it is to please them.
Yeah.
Because I know that they've given me something that I don't deserve, which is the grace that runs all through Scripture. And really is the bottom line of the faith that we have. It's like, we don't deserve any of this, but until you really come face to face with the extent to which you don't deserve it,
Yeah.
it doesn't carry the magnitude that I think it really deserves. So I don't know. Did you have anything you want to share?
I think in this experience that we had, I think we both, it was not just Jeff, like we were just not in a good, it was not a good situation on either side. We really let kind of our ugliness come out in those moments on both sides. And as Jeff kind of processed what was going on in his head, we had a moment also, and it might not even have been the same night, honestly, but we both had our experiences of having that moment of that humbling grace and love, because as Jeff processed things and as he had things that he was dealing with, as far as being humbled, he took a position of humbling himself to me, and took a stance at one point where he loved me in a way that made me actually look at him and say, thank you for loving me like Jesus. And I think for me, that was my moment of, man, he gave me like this huge amount of grace and all of the words that came out of my mouth that should not have been said. And I think we both had experiences over that time that was a moment of being loved when we weren't really all that lovable, and really didn't deserve that kind of love. So it was maybe we've been silent for a little bit because we've been working through some stuff and really honestly learning.
Yeah, I don't know, because I don't want it to, it has been tough. We have had some very monumental disagreements, but I don't want it to seem like it was to me it's been a time where I was I felt so close to the presence of God because
Yes.
I was so humbled that
I
I
agree.
didn't want to separate I didn't want anything to distract me from that.
Right.
But I hope that as we share this, one, it just helps you out to know that if you struggle with things, you're not alone. Two, that this community, that's what this is about.
Yeah.
Us processing what this life with Jesus looks
Yeah.
like and trying to figure out where Scripture speaks to the messiness and ugliness of our lives.
Yeah.
But then when we really in those times when we come face to face with it, it's beautiful.
It is.
Like nothing else. That
It's the love of a father. It's a love of him loving us like our daddy. It's with our children, comparatively speaking, our kids can do, screw up, do, who knows what stuff that, might upset us, make us angry, make us, feel disappointment in that moment. But there is nothing that our sons could do that would ever make us not love them. And we will always, with open arms, accept them and love them. And really, at the end of the day, Jesus wants to love us like that. It's unconditional. So no matter what we've done to screw up, no matter what we've done to, not follow him and not love like him and not act how we're supposed to act, or walk out our faith like we're supposed to.
Yeah.
He's still there. There's nothing that we can do to separate ourselves from his love, and I think that is hugely humbling.
Yeah. We're at
So-
12 minutes in this video. So
We gotta stop. Yes,
thanks
sorry.
for spending all 12 minutes with us. Hopefully that helps you, though. Hopefully it helps you see something else about God and understand that, this is a walk that we're all walking, and I
Yeah.
hope that we can do it together. So,
Yeah.
anyway, we'll see you next time. If you guys ever need anything from us, reach out. We love you.
Yeah.